So welcome back, everybody. Paul again, talking about esoteric psychology and esoteric mysteries. And as I mentioned in my other videos, I studied this stuff from a long time ago when I was in my early 20s, in the 1970s. And I also practiced meditation. I was born in India and I grew up there. My parents were missionaries. And along the way I had a lot of curiosity about ancient scriptures and ancient history and mythology and so on, and symbolism, and basically a curious person. So over the years I've accumulated a lot of knowledge and internal experiences of meditation, and I feel it's important to share experiences because I have kind of a unique experience, and a lot of the things that I know and learn I feel are worthwhile to share. So today I'm going to share a little bit about a couple of really, really profound books that early in my life I got interested in, that I really strongly encourage people to get into. They're just so profound. This subject of consciousness and self-knowledge is a very, very, very old subject, and we know that because if you look at ancient scriptures and so on, there's so much testimony about fantastic experiences that people had with their awareness. This human body that we have is so glorious, so stupendous, so fantastic technology that if we understand some of the teachings from the ancients and apply it in our life, we can have not only a profound internal experience of expansion of awareness and integration with all our life around us, but just a basic overall sense of clarity and completion and joy, because we understand that this life, whatever we have, whatever body we have, who knows where we're born or what size body we got, but if we're breathing, there's something absolutely stupendous and incredible about being alive. And I want to share these couple books here. One is the Upanishads. The Upanishads is the ancient scripture of the Hindus, one of the oldest. Nobody really knows how old it is, and no sage or any kind will ever claim that they were the one that wrote it. Its oral tradition goes way, way back, and you can tell by the wisdom involved in it that it is so profound. And it seems to be like a neutral voice speaking from the cosmos, from the infinite, understanding, like, look, human being, listen to these words. This is what life can be, and if you understand these simple things, then your life can be full of joy, and you can be free of so much suffering. So it has to do a lot with unity. There's the concept in Hindu religion. There's many, many different names for the ultimate being, because if we really understand the word God, G-O-D, generator, operator, destroyer, does not really mean anything. It's just an appellation. It's an acronym. So if we understand, if people say, well, I want to know about real God, then look, put down the books. But maybe the books can help you understand certain basic concepts, depending on how they're written and how accurate they are and so on. But ultimately, it's not about books. But this particular book, its wisdom is so old, and I'd like to quote a few real basic quotes from this scripture. The power behind every activity of nature and of man is the power of Brahman. To realize this truth is to be immortal. That's a very, 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 very simple statement, but it's very profound. Brahman, the word Brahman means one of the names of God, but if you analyze it, the ancient languages, the so-called sacred languages, of which Sanskrit was one and Hebrew was another, but there have probably been many more. But in general, the idea is to convey the reality and the meaning of the word with the sound of the word. Unlike, we might have like a lot of modern words that we just slap a name on something and it has nothing to do with, it's just a name. But the word Brahman means inhale, exhale, Brahman, 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 Brahman. And if you notice that word, as the Hindu tradition, which is very, very old, went westward, it also went eastward down into Malaysia, now it's Malaysia and all those countries out there. It also went westward, and the name Abraham, Samaria, it's all these words get twisted over the years, but the original Sanskrit tried to indicate in the sound of the word, in the pronunciation of the word, Brahman, the great breath, the almighty beingness breathing into our breath again. The word has a lot of meaning to it. But the basic overall concept is it's a oneness. There's this one beingness that breathes everything, and you can't, what can you say about it? The thing about nothing, we can't say anything. If we were to go up and look at the sky some night, and we go out and we see Orion, we see the Milky Way, and we go to a place where there's no interruptions in light, it's just a stupendous experience because, oh my, but there's something pulsing, you might say. These ancient scriptures talked about the concept of God, transcendent, and the immediacy of God in our breath, in the way that our gift of awareness, the senses that we have, the fantastic technology that we have, that we can experience just like a beam. We're a microcosm of something absolutely fantastic. That a beam of light, we talk about a beam of light as being like, okay, we see a ray of light, but in essence, without the sun, we wouldn't be here. So we can go and we bathe in the sun, we talk about the sun, and we just get mad when you can't see the sun. But there's so many really profound factors, technically speaking, physically speaking, scientifically speaking, that is so profound that if atoms didn't exist, we wouldn't be here. If we didn't have oxygen, we wouldn't be here. And the sages have come down to us from the past and say, first of all, realize the oneness, the simplicity, the utter simplicity, that with each breath, we are integrating ourselves with the cosmos. And there are animals that don't breathe, but they have some resonant quality, they have some vibratory quality, they have some sensory capacity, that the whole universe is vibration. And that vibration, ultimately, there's a sound inside called the Om, the Om. And again, another one very profound book, and I can't get into these two books too profoundly right now, they're just very, very deep. But I'll read you a few of the first. This is one of the oldest, it's at least 5,000 years old, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. This is a modern commentary. I'm going to read English words that don't even have the original sound, of course, but they have some of the meaning. And just the four opening statements of this book, which is, he wrote 108 statements of how the brain works, how the mind works, what you can do with this awareness, what this life is, where we can expand, how you can become more conscious. It starts out with Book 1, Om. The following instruction concerns the science of union, which is yoga. The science of union. What are we uniting with? We're uniting with the all. There's nothing but the all. All we're doing, our perception has some kind of a range of frequency perceptions that we have that give us some sense of distinguishment between whatever, but if we really get down to it, the air, the space in our skin, there's a place where do you define the boundary between this and that? And what they're saying is that the boundlessness is the consciousness. Yeah, you can argue with that concept. Oh, how can that be? Whatever. Technically, oh, it doesn't make any sense, or it doesn't. We can't. We don't show it. We don't know how to scientifically prove it, or whatever. But I don't care how scientific a person might be. They sit down in their own awareness. They have some kind of profound awareness, and they have to admit it's pretty darn amazing that we even have this thing. And there's all kinds of amazing experiences that yogis have had, and people have had, and children have had, and out-of-body experiences. The human awareness can experience a tremendous, tremendous range of internal perceptions that are very, very profound and are not something new. They're actually natural to us. We really should be able to use them. They are gifts, like saying, okay, what if you had a hand you never even used? If you don't know you have that hand. So we have understandings, we have abilities that are talked about in these scriptures. And I share with these people who, a lot of people don't know this about, they're very Christian or whatever, they have a religion, but if they just investigate, these are not necessarily, they don't require you to, change your religion. They're just technical understandings of our awareness that we all have. Now, the second statement is, after he says, okay, we're going for the union, this is about instruction to how to be united with the self, the true identity. The second statement is, this union is achieved through the subjugation of the psychic nature and the restraint of the mind. Subjugation, relaxing the senses, just slowing down, calming them, just being in a neutral, non-dual place, letting yourself come to rest. The same way water seeks an equilibrium, we can let our mind settle. So in two profound statements, we're already, okay, settle your mind first. When this has been accomplished, the yogi knows himself as he is in reality. When we feel ourselves without those waves, let's say you can imagine yourself as being a pool of water, a pond, and you're just being there and absolutely still. And then someone jumps in or something and there's waves. Your identity as that pond doesn't change, but there's now waves in it. So there's a certain stillness in our root nature that, okay, the senses disturb us, the various activities of the mind, the reactions that we have disturb us. But essentially, the water, the essence of it, the fluidity of our own awareness, even though there's waves, it'll eventually come back to rest. So there's a breathing motion. Remember the Brahman, the breathing, the movement in nature and within us. And the fourth statement is, the mind states, that's the fifth one, up until now, the inner man has identified himself with his forms and with their active modifications. That's the problem that's stated very, very simply. In esoteric psychology, you look yourself in the mirror and say, look, my goal is my union. I want to fully be conscious of my own real nature, that oneness. Second step, I gotta calm my mind. I gotta subjugate. I gotta maybe discipline my body. You can write a whole bunch of other things about how you're gonna subjugate, but basically the content is get settled. When you get settled, you start to realize who you are. And when you realize who you are, it opens up a whole bunch of doors, because in a real sense of the word, there is no duality between the inside and the outside. Although because we're so focused outside most of the time, it helps to just cut that off sometimes. We have a lot of habits going out, 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 out. So if we start developing the opposite habit, okay, I have an accelerator, I also have a brake. And I need to come to that restful place. Now, I was going to talk a little more about the technicality of how this kind of stuff works, because a lot of people, when they start thinking about, okay, if I meditate, what's going to happen? Am I going to have this weird experience? Is it going to be hallucinating? What happens? No. First of all, I'm not like an ultimate expert on this stuff. I keep learning here. But here's what I can say. Look, let's say you're in a dark room and the light starts going on, and it goes slowly and slowly, and light get a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. That is, the phases of what we call enlightenment, of saying, okay, the clarity that comes from better observations, settling your mind, meditation, calming ourselves, and starting to get some more wisdom and gratitude for this life, then your whole perspective on life begins to change. And the technical parts of it is trying to, there's modern concepts about how is that possible? Are we going to be like hallucinating, like I was saying? And no, it's just it's a gradual process of opening up our understanding, and it's totally unique to each of us. There's really, in some ways, it's very detrimental for people to talk about, well, hey, I went and did this in meditation last night, and I went back to Atlantis, and I saw my dog, or whatever. And it's pointless to compare, because each of us goes through our life and has profound different experiences in our observations. So one of the things I want to talk about is what we have today is very lot of division, and part of it is we look at each other and we don't see who each other really is, because we don't really know who we are, and we don't have a nice reflecting that we can't really observe neutrally without kind of concepts any other person. And it's a very big problem these days, because you can look at another person and you don't realize that what they're going through, with who they are, where they've been through, and any kind of wisdom. We can only see what we're open to. And I don't know if any people have had this experience, but I've been at airports sometimes, or traveling and whatever, and I maybe go into a store and I go, wow, that is an amazing human being. Oh, a lot of times it happens to me, because being a human being is a really glorious thing. And there's so many different varieties of being incredible. It's kind of like you go out to let's say you go into a field, like there's a million different kinds of beautiful flowers. Oh wow, every single one is like, wow. The reality is we're supposed to be able to see each other like that, because all of us are in different stages. You see, human beings, there's no set rule about what we're supposed to be experiencing and what level we're supposed to be on, and what guilt or anything like that. It's just a continuum of consciousness that when we feel kind inside through having joy in our life, then we just naturally reach out. You see like a dog stuck somewhere, you're going to help it, right? I mean, people are kinder to animals sometimes than they are to people. but consciousness needs to unfold in each of us, and I can only talk about my own awareness. I consider my student, and I've been a student a long time, and there's just an endless amount to understand and know and feel. And frankly, there's things that I can be conscious of that I don't want to be conscious of. And it's kind of like, my eyes, I look here because I want to look over here. There's things I don't want to look at. But when we have better perception, it's not like a jump into hyperspace where you have like some walking around like, okay, like you one day you sit down in meditation and like you pop like a popcorn. And then the rest of the day, the rest of your life is kind of like, whoa, what happened to him? So I don't think that's like that. I've met a lot of really, really incredible people, and frankly, I've met so many amazing people that, frankly, are just like, oof. Because there's awareness there, there's love there. Everybody radiates certain things. Some people are brilliant musicians, some people are brilliant artists, some people are, there's just a whole lot of beauties that one can observe in other human beings once we get out of the concept of protecting our own little identity. And there's a lot of technical aspects that these books talk about. And it's hard to go into that because, I can quote, and I just encourage people to read because you get a good translation of this, also called the Raj Yoga, the yoga of knowledge. We want to know. That's the whole point of any teaching, is to give us something that, okay, now I can ride that bicycle myself. I don't need to be held. I don't need to be pushed. And I'm going to take it wherever I'm going to want to take it. And when we get, people talk about liberation. Okay, the idea is, okay, we want to escape this endless whatever. Okay, that's one kind of a liberation. But what about this life? I want to be liberated where my understanding is clear. I want my windshield clear. I want to go through my day just smiling because, looks clear to me. Everything's good. And as long as I have this life. So I talk a lot about esoteric studies because they were one of the roads that helped me get along the way to explore my own inner dimensions. And it's been an amazing experience, and I try to share with what I have because there's so many people out this world. You can see it everywhere. You walk and you can see there's suffering. There's people, unhappy people, arguing people, angry people everywhere. And why? Because they don't have a sense of their own completion, their own grace, their own depth. And we feel trapped, and if we have more power, when it comes down to politics, I hate politics, as many people know, but if we got to get involved, at least if we're a little more happy people, those meetings might go a little better if we a little more happy, a little more internal, a little more wiser, a little more blissful. I talk a lot about this because I think it's important. I know it may seem like funny, get on my 2 cents out there, get on my little soapbox out there, but it's just really, if we had millions of people like we all just talk to each other and say, look, whatever, the politicians are never going to solve the human crises. They're never just going to fix everything. The fix has to come individually in our own understanding that, look, we're all back to the oneness. One of the early parts of this book here, where the teacher is saying to the student, look, let's not argue here. Let us be at peace with each other. Let us commune and let us share this enlightenment experience. Let us get blissful together. And I have a particular teacher, as I've said, many people know my teacher's name is Prem Walat. He created this here. He's a beautiful man. His father also taught for 30 years in India. There's many other yogis. I can't tell people, well, you should have this teacher or that teacher. Do we need a teacher? Some people think, well, no, I don't need a teacher. Why do I need a teacher? I think, well, did you learn who taught you how to speak? Who taught you how to talk? Someone had to teach you. So, and when you were a kid, you say, well, I didn't learn. I don't want a teacher. When you're a kid, you say, hey, I want to learn. Well, what's that word? What's that word? Show me another one. What is it when we get a little older, we start saying, well, I don't want a teacher. I don't have to listen to anybody. Nobody's smarter than me. But it's ridiculous. So the teachers are, whoever the teachers are, the great sages, or, there's some that, again, I'm in awe of. How'd they get that way? They just learned. They were diligent, maybe for lifetimes. So, and they never stopped learning either. So, we should be like that. And I keep talking about this because I think it's important. We need to band together and move toward unity. Because if we're always throwing hatchets at each other, okay, take that one. Okay, take that one. Well, okay, well, take this one. Where's that going to go? How are we going to solve anything that way? Someone's got to stop. Someone's got to catch to say, okay, that's it. I'm putting this down. I'm not throwing it back. It's just, common sense here. I've got kids. I've got grandkids. I want my grandkids to grow up in a beautiful place. I want them to have bliss on this. I want them to be taught all kinds of wonderful things about their own nature and what they can do with their life. I want them to have happy lives and wholesome company and not have 24/7 surveillance and a bunch of drunken monkeys running the country. But I appreciate all the people that listen to me. I like and share. I study a lot of other content, and I will make more videos. I appreciate good feedback. I don't like to get into long discussions. I present what I know. I don't present anything in terms of saying, okay, this is it, this is authority, listen to me. This is things I've learned, things I've studied. Maybe they have some benefit to people that listen to these. So I will see you in the next video. Thanks again for watching.